Hi everyone, I'm Natalie Henry Charles and welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, I'm a mom on a mission to run my small business from home and raise my little ones. So today we are packing up a huge order. It's 320 cards, a little bit more because I always order extras. But we are packing up a huge order for a corporate client. Let's get started. So now that I'm set up, I wanted to talk to you guys about the top mistakes that I made and even just the things that I would do differently. If I was going to a trade show again, the top thing that I would change is the time that I went. So as you guys know, I went to Atlanta Market summer of 2023. So this past summer, it was in July, and I was just very hyped for the show. I was very excited for the show. And you know, just if you've not seen the scale, you can go on my shorts. I have some shorts of Atlanta Market, and basically it shows you the scale of just one building, and they have several buildings. So I was thinking, I was like, oh yeah, there's gonna be like a ton of buyers. But the fact of the matter is that it's very much based on the buying habits. So next time I probably would not go to a show unless I'm doing like a circuit and I decide like, okay, I'm doing every single show so that I don't lose my booth place. Unless I decide to do that, I would choose to start, especially like starting, I guess, I would choose to start in January or a winter show. The winter shows are the shows that usually have more foot traffic. And the reason for this is because after the holidays, retailers have had a ton of sales. They've met their, whatever their goals are, more likely than not. And because of this, they have more money to spend and they feel safer spending. Whereas in the summer, it's typically the time when people are traveling. They are going, you know, on family trips. Their kids are out of school. They're just taking vacations and they're not really focused on like shopping small. During the summer, sales have a bit of a slump unless you're in a tourist destination. So for me, I probably would not go back during the summer because retailers are typically less to spend during the summer. I will say though that even though it was slow for me, I still had a pretty good show, especially for my first show. I've heard horror stories of people going to a trade show and not making any sales whatsoever. So another thing that I would have done differently is I would have saved more money to attend. So as you guys know, this was an odd year for me. It was very off financially, and so if I could do it again, I would probably have saved more money in order to be there. We ended up doing an Airbnb. We rented a car here in Florida and drove up, and that actually happened to be very convenient. My family actually went with me. So my mom, my dad, my sister, my kids, they took care of the kids during the day. And the good thing about it was that they were able to drop me off every single morning. And well, it was me and Jeff. So they were able to drop us off every morning, and then they were able to pick us up every evening. And the reason why that is very good is because every single day we would have had to get an Uber back and forth to the Airbnb, or we would have had to pay for parking, which parking was like $60 a day. Yeah. So by the end of it, they started like lowering it down to, I think it ended up being like either 30 or 40. But I mean, these are things that I was not really even thinking about as far as, you know, costs. So I definitely would have saved more money to be there. The other thing that I feel like I kind of missed out on was placing down the deposit for my next booth fee. So I really do wish that I had that extra like $1,000 to just put down the deposit. I would have gotten a slight, I would have gotten priority, and I don't know if you got a discount but I know for sure you were entered into a raffle, and that raffle was for $500 off of your booth fee. So this one is more Atlanta specific. If I was doing the show again, one of the things that I would have changed is how long I was there for. So Atlanta Market is a very long show. It runs from Wednesday to Sunday, and the Sunday is a half of a day. So whatever week it falls on, it's always going to run that Wednesday to Sunday. So I got into town on Monday, so I was there 2 days early, but I really would have changed that timeline. And again, things were kind of weird because the 9th was my birthday. I was like, I don't want to be driving on my birthday. And like, I mean, I was still running around crazy. Like, I didn't even get to celebrate my birthday. So it didn't really make much of a difference that I was there like a day later. I should have just gone and just been there on Sunday and started loading in, because so the earlier that you get there, the easier it is for load-in. And that's because most people come on either Monday or Tuesday. You will see in the portal that Fern is the people that like basically you pay for all the services through. Fern, if you're gonna drive in, you have to load in with them and you have to pay a fee for load in. So basically there's a premium on Tuesday because that's when everybody is trying to get in. I didn't pay a premium because I went on Monday, but even Monday, halfway through the day, I felt like I didn't have that much time. I felt rushed. It was stressful because like we drove in overnight. So pretty much from that night before we were driving, and then we just drove straight to Atlanta Market. And I just wish that I had enough time to like get into town, check into my Airbnb, take a breather, grab some lunch. You know, we were very like the whole thing felt just very like cutthroat, you know, and I wish that I could do that differently because, you know, it being my first experience, I was just thinking, I was like, okay, well, I'll just save on a night at the Airbnb. I'll just save it on a night, and that way I don't have to spend for an extra hotel night. I'll just get there first thing in the morning. And then, you know, things just happen. We ended up leaving late. We ended up stopping. So it wasn't a 6-hour drive. It turned into really like 10 hours, you know? And so I was thinking that I was going to get there at 9 a.m. I honestly didn't get there until like just after 12. And the yard that you go to check in before you get to the venue, they are closed from 12 to 1. So you have to make sure and time that properly as well. So it just kind of didn't even make sense to, you know, be there halfway through Monday. And then when I got there, there were things that were wrong as well. So, excuse me, for me, I probably, if I were to do it again, I would get in on Sunday. And that way I had 2 full days to get done all of the things that I needed to get done. So another thing that I would do differently is I would make more plans for before and after. So I'm going to break this down in a separate video, but basically what I did was I had all of my materials advanced shipped to their warehouse. So you can have things sent to their warehouse early, and basically what that does is that will give you just some peace of mind, and then when you arrive, all your stuff will be there already. So I basically had stuff sent directly from, I don't remember if it was Home Depot or Lowe's, and it was delivered to the warehouse, and I tried to get them several times, but I'm not trying to be rude, okay? I don't want to like shade anybody, but I don't really feel like they're very like organized on that end, like the warehouse end. And so I called a couple of times and I didn't get anyone. So I was like, okay, well, when I get there, I guess it'll be there. And that was a big mistake. And you know, in addition to that, I was like thinking about like a million other, I was literally thinking about a million other things. And so when I got there, my walls were not there. The materials for my walls were not there. So Atlanta Market, you can use tools. So we literally assembled our walls at the booth. Like, I had the raw materials and then we just assembled everything and then we painted everything, right? But the thing that I kind of made a mistake on is that the material that I used, I would not use that material again. I used hardboard, or I think it's called hardy board. And I would probably just go with like a very thin plywood so that it could preserve. Because what happened at the end of the show was I realized that I don't really have a place to put this. So I could either load out with all of my, I could load out the walls and take it to a storage facility, or you could pay them and they could do the storage for you, or you could trash everything. In this particular case, I opted to trash everything. Total the materials only came out to about $400, and it was going to cost me about $500. I think it was like just under $500 to store it until the next show. And so you have to pay that storage fee. It's a contract for 6 months. So you're basically paying it every 6 months, that $400 or that $500. So I didn't really see the point in preserving the walls, because I knew that if I was coming back, I wanted something a little bit more sturdy. I wanted something built out a little bit better. Because basically what we just did was we took the hardy board and then we just put wood panels in between. It shared one wood panel in between. And so, and we just like nail gunned it right to that wood piece. So it worked for what it needed to be. But if I were doing it again, I probably would have framed it out. That way everything is standing on its own and nothing was buckling. Because one of my walls, the material is kind of like, it is a little on the soft side, so it was buckling. And then in addition to that, the hardy board, it's not going to preserve well in stressful situations. So yes, if somewhere it's like air conditioned and like good temperature, but the hardy board is not resistant to moisture. And you know, if it gets too hot in the warehouse or if it gets too cold, I just didn't know how it was going to come back. I felt like it would just come back all warped and like ugly. So I chose to just like trash everything, and then like whatever I could, I just packed up and brought with me back to Florida, like furniture wise. I would have definitely got there earlier. I would have changed the material. I think it was good for a first show. It was good for like a first try. But now that I go there and I see like what it really is, I have a better understanding. Mistakes that I made, I would definitely say I would have had more vinyl. So all of the, if you've seen my booth, it was in the last video, and then I have some shorts on it as well. If you've seen my booth, you saw that I put vinyl stickers on there to denote different areas. I would have definitely gone bigger if I could change it. I would have gone bigger on the vinyls, because I just felt like based on the size of my booth, the scale of my booth, I had more room to make those vinyl clings like really stand out. And I even just feel like, so I would have had more. I would have had a vinyl cling of like the story behind Pretty Peacock. I would have had, you know, like a little about section. I would have had maybe like a larger logo as well. I can look up my logo for you guys and let you guys know. Maybe in post editing I'll put it here. But I believe it was 36 inches, and even that felt too small. So if I could do it again, I would do my logo very large, and then I would have, because I painted that back wall that my logo was on, I would have painted my back wall a little bit differently, because basically what happened was I ended up putting too much color, and then so when I went to put my vinyl cling up, it's multicolored as well, so some of the letters were not like standing out against the backdrop of the walls. So those are two things that I would have changed. I also would have changed the furniture. I feel like the furniture was very like beautiful and very much my style. But when it came to storing things, I didn't have any storage. I didn't have any place to like hide things where it was looking, you know, kind of cute or hidden. I had to just kind of like store things on the floor in plain view, and I didn't like that. I didn't like the look of it arriving, you know, I didn't like how it looked. And you know, just even having to walk away and go to the bathroom or something, you know, all my stuff was right there, like my laptop, my iPad, my backpack, you know. And while I don't think that would really be a venue for theft. You just never know people, you know? So I definitely would have changed my, the type of furniture that I had. I would have gone more with cabinets, and that way I could have kept the extra business cards, extra catalogs, extra whatever in those cabinets, my wallet, my backpack, all of my electronics. I would have kept it in that cabinet, and then that way everything is secure and behind closed doors. And even when you leave, it's not like things are all over the place. So I definitely would have done that. And then I would have changed the layout of my booth for sure. So I kind of wasted a wall because I had a 10 by 10 inline. So that means you really have 3 walls. The back wall was more so like a focal point, and I realized that that was kind of like wasting a wall because I didn't put any product. I just had a table in front with my journals, but I really do wish that I displayed my journals differently. I wish that I displayed them like maybe on a shelf, on the wall, facing forward, so people knew what they were. They could see from the aisle that those were journals, and then how many we had. Because from a merchandising perspective, it was not really a great idea, because I basically had them like on a shelf like this, where it was just like the spine on the outside, and I just had them standing up on a table like this. So from the aisle, you didn't really know that I had journals. You didn't really know what they were. You would have to like come into the booth and like touch things. And I did notice that some buyers were very tactile and were very interested in touching things, but there were most buyers were very much like just kind of looking, like holding onto their stuff and looking. I had to encourage people like, yes, pick things up, feel things, touch things, open up the journals, you know. I really wanted them to see like the quality, like pick up the card, feel the card, feel the envelope. So I noticed that they didn't really want to touch things, you know, and I'm sure it's because they didn't want to like break anything. But I really felt like it was poorly merchandised. I wish I merchandised a little bit better. Also, the same with my stickers. I did a sticker project where I pre-stuck the stickers on a board. I wish that I had just had shelves with the stickers and maybe like 3 of each SKU on there, you know, so even if somebody like felt like they really like this, you know, I would have you know, like let them have one or whatever is the case. So I wish that I merchandised a little bit better, and I wish that my layout was a little bit stronger, but now I know for next time. So another thing that I would have done differently is I would have done my checkout process a little bit differently. I feel like it took a very long time to check out. I feel like it took a very long time to process people's orders. I ended up using Fair. They have a mobile app for iPad where you can basically write the order for the buyer directly from your store, and any orders that you write from that app automatically gets 0% commission. Should I had a different process for checking things out, for checking people out. When I went to write the orders, the app was actually very slow. It was very clunky. It was not as seamless as I thought it was going to be. And then, you know, in addition to that, we were just using like cell phone Wi-Fi. So I really do wish that I had some sort of like wireless or a Wi-Fi free order writing system that used barcodes. If I was going back to Atlanta, I would try and figure out a barcoding system so that when people were placing orders, you can literally just turn it over and just scan the barcode and just go boop, boop, boop. 6 of this, 6 of this. Cause like literally, I thought people were kidding around. When they go in, they're literally just like 6 of that, 6 of that, 6 of that. You know, I'm just like, oh, nah, it'll be fine, you know? And so I got there and they sure were doing that. It was hard to keep up. Thank God I had Jeff with me, because if it was me, I would have crumbled under pressure. Jeff was my order writing king, honestly, because he was the one that was doing all of the order writing in the app. He's just very tech savvy, and electronics just work for him naturally. So he was the one like writing the orders, but there were parts where there were more than one retail shop in our booth, and they were both trying to write orders, you know, and if an order was taking, you know, 20 minutes, they have to move on to the next place. Like there was a point where one of the retail shops, they had placed like an $800 order. And so she was like, let me see your show deck and you can just like leave me be. Like you can go help them. And so I was like, okay. So she went through all of my cards. She picked out what she liked. She purchased, she told me quantities and she was like, okay, 18 of all of these, 6 of all of these, and just send me the bill. And she left. She gave me her business card and she left. So there was no like, oh, how much did you want of these? Or how much did you, like, no, she was like gone. She sat down, looked at my show deck, picked what she wanted for herself, and then just said this and send me the bill, you know? So that's just kind of give you an idea as to like when you go in, how these buyers are actually operating. Most people were writing it down. So they had order forms where they just wrote it down. So I think that might be a good tactic as well if you can't figure out the barcode system. If you are doing a show in January, I would suggest just getting some custom order forms. You write it on the top copy, they get a copy and you get a copy. And then that way, you know, you can go through and write the orders after the show. So every evening you'll go through and write all of your orders and then you can email them out to buyers. So they also have a digital copy as well. I would also probably, the next time I go to a trade show, hire someone to design the booth for me. And the reason why I say this is because I feel like you don't know until you know, right? And it is one of those things where design, the psychology behind sales, the psychology behind like an actual buyer, there are just even subliminal things that you don't even know about. If you've ever watched Bar Rescue, it's with a guy named John Tapper, and he basically goes around the country and he develops restaurants and bars. And there are just even not scientific, but like research backed things that an owner might do without the customer even realizing, hey, they've done this and that makes you more thirsty, so you buy more drinks, or this makes your leg uncomfortable so you don't sit here as long, or whatever. You know, there are things that, you know, kind of like techniques that we don't know about as far as merchandising as just like a small business owner. And so even just from a design perspective, so I told you guys that I was across from Foggy Dog, and I really love their booth. My friend Stephanie designed the booth and it was amazing. Like from panel to panel, it was gorgeous. And even the way she designed it, designed it so it was modular. So if they had a show where they had a smaller footprint, it can basically fold down or collapse down into a smaller footprint. There were parts of the walls that came off. So like if you had a booth where it was like a half a wall, you still could use that same booth. It was just very thoughtfully designed. So if I do go back where I have like a booth that I can design myself, I would actually 100% have, probably her, but I would probably have someone design it and just even design like the layout, the merchandising. That was one of the biggest things that I literally just said to you guys. I wish my merchandising was stronger, and I would probably bring in a merchandiser to merchandise the items for me. And maybe you don't need all of that on your first try, but one of the things that I saw when I went to Atlanta, we're kind of up against the big dogs, you know, and not to dissuade anyone, but when you go to Atlanta, I do hope that you at least maybe walk the show first. Go into the permanent displays, go into the permanent showrooms, and you will see what I'm talking about as far as what it looks like. It looks like you walked into the mall, of a high-end mall. So like here in Orlando, we have Mall of Millennia. it looks like you walked into like Mall of Millennia and you're in like one of those high-end stores. That's literally how it looks. And they have people, so the people who are in the permanent showrooms are more likely than not rep groups or really big brands. So these really big brands sell like on a huge scale, and they literally hire people to come in and design the floor plan, design the colors, design the footprint, design the flow. So like, okay, you start here and you work your way like this and you weave around like this and you're seeing all of the things, you know. They also have dedicated showroom reps. So, and then they typically bring in, around the shows, they typically bring in extra help. So these showroom reps are your dedicated, almost like concierge, where they are following you around with a clipboard and showing you all of the new products, all of the new lines that they're carrying, what's hot, what's not, what's trendy, what's been selling really well. They literally have people that go around with you and shop with you and take your order as you're going. So when you compare that experience to the temporaries, where it's typically a smaller footprint, it is, you know, I would even say less curated, because you don't know who your neighbor's gonna be. Less curated. Usually a rep group will have kind of like an aesthetic or like a design style, or the other brands that they work with in the showroom are relatable, like they are along the same lines. They're different, but they work well together, right? So in the temporaries, you could be next to like, I don't want to say that. You could be next to some displays that don't look as great, you know? And so for me, when I kind of saw the difference, and when I was like, oh, okay, now I understand why all the buyers are over in building 1, you know, I would definitely put more thought and effort into how my booth looks, because you got to come on point. You have to be like, aesthetically, everything has to be put together. And then the people that won best booth, you could tell the difference. Like, you could literally see how beautiful everything was. Okay, so I am finished packing up the order. I am gonna go ahead and head to the hotel right now so that I can get it dropped off early. Okay, so my battery died, but this is what the order is looking like. We have 320 cards. They're in packs of 20 each. So I'm gonna get this in a nice gift bag, and I'm gonna head to Hyatt. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, be sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next week. Bye.